It's time to lock in. We're talking SEC, college football, and more. This is AP as we see it.
I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I said I'm all about that action.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham from LA, Lower Alabama. This is AP as we see it, a syndicated weekly 1 hour show discussing the Southeastern Conference and always keeping an eye on the national college football scene and other sports. Welcome to our show. Last week was rivalry week, and we all know that that's the season ending game for schools. And if you're having a good season, you're going to cap it off with a win over your rival. And if you're a rival that's not having a good season, you have one more last hope to amend the season with a win over your rival. So it's very important for you. So we're going to talk about rivalry week and the flag planting and some of the incidents that happened last weekend. But we want to make sure that people look at our social media platforms at AP Stedham and AP as we see it on Instagram and Facebook and X accounts. And we want to make sure you subscribe to all those things. We're on YouTube now on the AP Stedham YouTube and the AP as we see it YouTube channels. And you could also check us out on Spotify because we archive every episode as well. We want to thank our sponsors. We have our wonderful sponsors that keep us around the country, going to ball games throughout the season. We couldn't do it without them. So we start with Greer's Marcus, located in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. They have the holiday recipe contest. So check that out. They also have the kids coloring contest for the month of December, continuing from November as well. They have the Christmas dinner with the turkey and the ham for 64 plus dollars, and you can order that dinner and save yourselves some work and order the turkeys or the ham. Then you have the Greer's online shopping, groceries to go. Call that Audible because you're preparing the dinners for your family for the holidays and the special occasion that's family, friends, and football at this point, still in the month of December and beyond. And remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. We'd also like to thank Wind Creek. They have the 3 locations: Atmore, Montgomery, and Wetumpka, and be a player. You can also participate in the amenities, the spa, the restaurants, movie theaters, cooking school. So check out those 3 locations for the Wind Creek and Atmore, Montgomery, and Wetumpka. And then also we have Robertsdale Dental, Dr. Jason Northcutt and his staff. You can contact them at 251-947-3636 right there in Robertsdale, Alabama. And then also we want people to check out the Aloft Dallas downtown. That's a Marriott boutique hotel right in the heart of Dallas within walking distance to all the sites. They have a WXYZ bar. They have a pool, some good food to eat as well. And you can make a reservation there at 214-761-0000 and check them out at www.loftdallasdowntown.com. And they always take care of me when I'm in Dallas for the SEC media days, and probably be spending some time there this year for the Cotton Bowl, which is one of the semifinal games in the college football playoff. So let's discuss this flag planting business. Now we know that head coaches, they know everything that's happening with their team. They have the details and they outline the philosophies and how the protocols for being out there before the game, how to warm up. And most of the time, they'll also include the fact that at the end of the ball game, how they want you to approach the other team, shake hands. And a lot of times you're playing against people that you've competed against in high school. Maybe they were your teammate in high school. Maybe you've met them when you've traveled across the country in these various camps. So they're well known that even though they're from various parts of the country, they know each other through the years, probably since they're some of them 10, 12 years old. So last week we saw, particularly, we'll mention this game, the Michigan versus Ohio State game. And at the end of the ball game, Michigan was about a 3-touchdown underdog, and the teams met in the center of the field. And all of a sudden, they wanted to plant the flag right on the Ohio State logo. Well, the Ohio State players took exception. They ripped the flag away from the player. There was fighting. There was an incident where the police had to spray the players with mace. Now, I was wondering, where were all the Michigan coaches, or did they want them to try to plant the flag? Is this something that they discussed before the game, before the season, how they're going to act when they play their rival or big games? I know that Texas played up there this year, and I thought I saw a video where they planted the flag, and I'm going to get to that Texas team in a moment here. But what I'm from my perspective, I think it's does not show very much class to plant the flag on the logo. Now, what I will say is, I'm all in favor of you can plant the flag in front of your band and your fans that are there at the stadium. I don't have an issue with that per se. I, you won the football game, but you didn't. You don't surrender the stadium to another team. It just shouldn't happen. And I agree with Ryan Day, the statement he made. I'm paraphrasing, of course, and he said his team would not let Michigan plant that flag, and I'm in total agreement. Now, I don't think it's the proper thing to represent your team, your school, your university, your fans, your alumni. You're representing the school, and what do they say? They say you're trying to plant a flag, and really you're instigating a brawl because that's what happened, and that's not the way to end the game. And remember, you're a guest at that stadium. That's not your stadium. You're a guest. Now, football coaches, they want you to always break the huddle, 1, 2, 3, dominate. You hear them say dominate. In this day and age where you have transfers and people shifting team from year to year, the talent has begun to even out. Dominate. You're lucky you win the ball game, as you found out from Ohio State. They were a 3-touchdown favorite and lost the game at home. Didn't score a point in the second half with a high-priced offense. Some say it was $20 million on the roster for this year's team through the NIL. So my feeling is, if I'm the head coach, that's a reflection on me. And I was wondering, why did this particular Michigan player and his teammates think that it was fine to plant that flag on the logo of Ohio State? I just don't think it's appropriate. And I come from the school where Coach Bryant of Alabama, he always said, always show your class. If you don't, it doesn't matter. So I stand by that statement that you should always show your class when you're playing a game. I mean, I know there's talking in this day and age, and that's been going on for decades. And I know that players now, they believe that they're officials, dancers, cheerleaders, and now they're flag planters. So I could do with all those other ancillary uh, uh, antics that happen with football players. We know that every time they catch a ball, they're wanting to show a first down. Well, I was watching Ole Miss play, and they hand the ball back to the official because they have that up-tempo offense. So kudos to Lane Kiffin for at least getting his team to concentrate on the football. They're officials at the game. You don't need to call a first down. That's done by the officials. We don't need to, every time you make a tackle, you just do a celebration dance. I mean, you didn't invent it. Act like you've been there before. I'm not in favor of all those things. And I'm the first person to have fun. If anybody knows me, I like to have fun. I like to have fun all the time, but I believe in celebrating with your team, high-fiving your team, chest bumping, those types of things. Have fun. Have fun playing the game. It's a rough game. It's a tough game. It's a collision sport, and you should have fun. But I'm not in favor of all of these other antics as I describe them. That's the word that I use. Somebody might use a different word. But in this day and age, flag planting, we don't want to see police in the middle of the field spraying people with mace. This is supposed to be a celebration of a tremendous game we all love. But so this idea that you're going to plant a flag on the other team's logo, I'm not sure who originated this, but I'm for abolishing it, and I'm for finding a team. I really am. I'm that serious about it because you're causing all this havoc. You're instigating a brawl on the field. It could get into the stands as well with your fans and your alumni because they're going to back you. Most of the time, your fans are going to back you. Even if you do something disrespectful, they're going to back you. And so I think you should be a leader in this area. The football team, like I said, you can display all your class, shake hands. You had a good game on the opponent's field, and you're a guest, as I reminded you, you're a guest, and show some class and celebrate with your fans. Run down to your band. And I love bands. I love the fact that the fans travel to the games and support their team. You could do all those things and still have fun. There's no need to inspire people to fight. And it's been a heated battle. And of course, when all is said and done, and the coach is at the podium and you're asking about these incidents, you get the conventional answer of, "Oh, football is an emotional game." Well, we knew that before we started. We knew that when we started playing at 10 years old. It's an emotional game. So that's not a good excuse. And if one person, you're going to use that as an excuse, well, there was 100 people on your team. Everybody else knows it's an emotional game. They acted appropriately, hopefully. So this idea that you're going to excuse yourself for your behavior by saying it's an emotional game, I am not buying. I'm not buying at all. And I love the game of college football. I've been around it almost my whole life. And I just want to preserve the respect that people have for competing against each other. We're going to be right back for segment 2 and 3 with a great guest, Will Matthews, former fullback. He was in the Texas Rose Bowl win in 2005. He's the sideline analyst for the University of Texas Longhorns. We're going to discuss the rematch in the SEC championship game, Georgia versus Texas. We'll be right back after these messages with AP as we see it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. I'm AP Stedham with Dr. Jason Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Jason Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care. And we're back with AP as we see it, and we have a very special guest, friend of the show, from the Longhorn Network, radio and TV sideline analyst, Will Matthews, former fullback, Rose Bowl winner 2005, former Detroit Lion fullback, Will Matthews. Hey, Will, welcome to AP as we see it.
What's up, AP? Good to see you.
Oh, doing great, man. I'm feeling those Longhorns. I'm feeling them.
Hey, I mean, it's just incredible to be 11-1 at the end of this season and to have earned the right for the second time in SEC championship. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, just your general thoughts on entering the SEC, and you made the tour around the league to some of the venues. What did you think?
And like everybody says, and the slogan for the SEC is it just means more. And traveling to the stadiums as well as seeing the opponents that we saw this year, from Vanderbilt to Florida to Kentucky, A&M, of course, last week, you just know that there's something special about the SEC, and the fans are incredible. The energy is incredible. And when you win a game, it just means more because the SEC is faster and bigger. You've got to work that much harder to get it done. And so really proud of what Texas has been able to do with its first year. In fact, last year, if you remember, Texas won the Big 12 championship the last year that they were there. And then Texas is in the running for winning the SEC championship their first year inside of the SEC. It just, it feels nice.
It sure does. It sure does. Will, when I was broadcasting the last couple of weeks, I made a statement that Vanderbilt, I thought, was the best win at this point for Texas. And I was thinking to myself, I don't think I would ever say that in my life, that the best win for Texas was Vanderbilt. But that was true at the time until they faced Texas A&M on the road.
You're so correct. I mean, and the rhetoric coming from the football world just over the last couple of weeks and for this season, just echoing that, has just been Texas has no wins. That Michigan win has not aged well. The Oklahoma win also has not aged well, with both of those teams struggling, especially with the way that Michigan won the national championship last year. But this last weekend, when Texas beat A&M and also Michigan beat Ohio State,
Correct.
it starts to build Texas's resume just a bit more, so that, wasn't able to beat Georgia, and that was the top 10, top 5 matchup right there.
Yes.
But right now, with Texas' resume and being able to play Georgia again, like, this could be the opportunity to put those naysayers to sleep if Texas can win the SEC championship.
And oh, by the way, Will, a team from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, went to Norman, Oklahoma, and they were on the short end of that score as well.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me giggle a little bit. There's not
Right.
much loss when it comes to Oklahoma for Texas fans. So, and Alabama as well. I mean, Texas last year was able to, against all odds, go into Bryant-Denny Stadium last year and beat Alabama. I mean,
Right.
it was just, and that was more of a manhandling. And I think Alabama was a bit surprised. But anytime the Texas kid win over Alabama or OU or Texas A&M or anybody maroon, it just makes a lot of sense for us burnt orange guys.
I hear you on that score. Well, that first meeting between Georgia and Texas in Austin, it seems like there were 7 sacks that night from a Georgia team. And Georgia, oh, by the way, they're noted for their defense, but Will, a lot of times they don't have a good pass rush when it comes to the sacks, but they were able to break through that night and sack the quarterback 7 times. So was that surprising for you?
Texas, that was very surprising. Texas at that time was also in the running for Joe Moore Award. And right now, as well, that their top 3 with Army and Oregon in the moment, they have gotten back on the horse and really protected the win well. But during that game, it seemed as if Texas thought that Georgia was not Georgia, and Georgia.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we haven't shown that we're Georgia, but we're going to show that we're Georgia tonight. And so, I mean, we all know the ceiling for Georgia is sky's the limit. They have incredible athletes. They have recruited well, not just one year, but many years in a row. And Coach Smart has done a really great job with them. And so I think that was really a wake up call for Texas. Texas, after that game, had to really evaluate: are we who we say we are, and can we
Yes.
be hope that we would be? And so since then, Texas has definitely been on a tear. And I would say even the last couple of weeks with Carson Beck, he's found his swing as well. I mean, they gave up the ball 4 times during that game, and Texas gave up 3. The difference there,
Yes.
Georgia was able to capitalize on those turnovers and make some points and put points on the board, but Texas's offense
Right.
wasn't able to do that. And so, I mean, really, 2 very similarly matched teams, 2 very similar quarterbacks, 2 very similar physical style brands of football. But it just really depends on who's going to show up. I think it's going to be between Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers. Whatever guy is ready to play will be the guy that leads their team to the win.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers, he seems like a finesse type quarterback, and I say that because I'm not thinking if he's on the loose, he's going to bowl over a defender. He's light-footed. He throws a soft pass with accuracy. He likes to survey the field and take his time because he has a good offensive line at the University of Texas. But they do have a fellow on the bench that is noteworthy, I guess, Arch Manning. And
Mhm.
he came in the other night and scored the touchdown and that run to the left and got him on the scoreboard. What is that dynamic, Will? How do you explain that to people about those 2 quarterbacks?
Well, I think you got to back up a bit and just really look at the pedigree for Arch and the Manning family. They chose a college based on a long-term plan, not just getting Arch on the field immediately.
Right.
Now, seeing Arch Saturday and seeing Arch sparingly throughout the season, we know that we've got something very special. in the holster, in the quiver, waiting to be fired. And I think that's what Coach Sark wanted us to all see, especially with that option when he ran around and dove in for the touchdown. We got something special. But even Arch has been Quinn's QB1. I'm supporting him. He is fine in a world where you don't have to be fine, because Arch could pretty much he could walk on any campus in the nation and be considered as a starter, and would do very well in the NIL. But to watch him sit behind Quinn and just be thankful for the opportunity, develop in the way that he knows is best, and to get ready to not only have a 1-year career in college or a couple of years in the NFL, but to be in the NFL 10, 15 years. They've done it differently. And I think the relationship between Quinn and that quarterback room is something different and dynamic and pretty special.
We're in the last couple minutes of this segment with Will Matthews, the former Texas Longhorn fullback, Rose Bowl winner, and he's the sideline analyst, Longhorn Network TV and radio as well. Will, they've managed Texas to overcome some injury. That shows you they have the signs of a championship team.
It's been really great. Like Coach Sark, even in the offseason, they really worked hard to make sure that there weren't a lot of the hamstring tears and the ankle rolls and just those soft tissue kind of injuries that can really plague a team. Being an ex-athlete, no matter what you do, if you get an ankle sprain, it's really hard to do your job. And so they've really done a great job of doing that and getting guys back to the field. Now, early on, the running back room was kind of snake biting with C.J. Baxter and the group of guys, four running backs that had season-ending injuries. But even in that, it's made way for an interesting mix of running game between Trey Wisner and Jaden Blue and what they've been able to do. Trey Wisner, 33 carries and 186 yards last week against A&M. It's pretty dynamic when you're looking to the beginning of the season. Guys like C.J. Baxter, who was supposed to be the workhorse, get hurt. And so Texas has done a good job, this next man up, as well as getting guys back to the field like Quinn Ewers, Andrew Makuba, and hopefully Kelvin Banks, who went down in the A&M, who's our All-American tackle, who went down in the A&M game, and hopefully be able to get him back as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're in the last 30 seconds here. We're going to move on to the next segment here, but I know you're excited about being in Atlanta for the first time, representing your school and your state and trying to win an SEC championship and add to the lore of Texas football, which is very long and quite the tradition. They're one of the blue bloods, as we count them, one of the top 10 all-time winners, and with national championships and Heisman Trophy winners. But we're going to come back after these messages with AP as we see it, and our guest, Will Matthews, will continue. I'm AP Stedham. Stay at the Aloft Dallas downtown, a Marriott Boutique Hotel within walking distance to favorite attractions, JFK Museum, American Airlines Center, Reunion Tower, and Museum District. Work out at their 24-hour fitness center and follow up with a refreshing dip in their pool. Explore the city and return to the hotel's popular WXYZ bar to mingle over cocktails and savory bites. Call 214-761-0000 or visit www.aloftdallasdowntown.com. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. And we're back with AP as we see it with our very special guest, Will Matthews, former Texas Longhorn fullback. Now he does the sideline for the Texas Longhorn Network, radio and TV, former Detroit Lion fullback. Will, there were some interesting incidents. I will just describe him as such this weekend with flag planting. And I noticed that at the end of the Texas A&M game, they showed the Texas team trying to make an attempt to maybe plant a flag. And Steve Sarkisian, the head coach, he showed tremendous leadership, I thought, by waving his team over to the sideline. And they had a clip of him, and we're going to hopefully play this here, where he made a statement moving forward now about flag planting and the philosophy and policy at the University of Texas. If we could play that, let's see if we can play it.
There's a way to win it with class, and I just didn't think that's the right thing to do. We shouldn't be on their logo. We shouldn't be planting any flags on their logo. And I'd like to, whenever that day comes, get the same respect in return. I just think there's a way. We try to teach our players how to go about our business, and we celebrate with one another. It's not about any other team. It's about what we do, and I think there's a way to win with class, and I'm hopeful that we can continue to learn how to do that.
Will, and as I mentioned to you briefly, at the University of Michigan, when you beat them up there in Ann Arbor, after the teams had really moved away from the center of the field, one of the Texas players planted the flag. But I see that Coach Sarkisian, he has had the vision to understand that this could be a problem, and he addressed it uncategorically, made the statement. So I want some of your thoughts about flag planting, because you're a part of that OU Texas game, and we've seen that happen.
Yeah, I really align with what Coach Sark said. Being an ex-player and spending your off-season time, spending your resources, going to a school, giving your heart for your team, giving your heart for the school and for the fans, and to win the game, of course, and to fall short and for another team to come and put their flag inside of your field. It's a tough one. And those are really fighting words. And I think there's a way to play the sport to where you take care of people. And I appreciate what Sark did. His leadership, especially in these sort of issues, has been really great. In fact, during the Georgia game, there was a call that the fans didn't like, and so the fans started to throw water bottles onto the field. Well, it was interesting because Coach Sark walked over into the student section as they threw things and told them to stop. So I think he's just got a really healthy respect for the game, and and we all know it's a really tough game. You give your life to play level, and you really want that sacrifice to be respected. And really, the best way to do that is to have a couple of like rules that make sense. Like, hey, don't play your flag in my field. Like, I know you've won, but this isn't the way to do it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and as I stated before in a previous segment, you are a guest of that team. And so I always said, run to your band, plant the flag in front of your band and your fans, and you could have a celebration with your flag, but not on someone else's logo and at the expense of inciting a riot, really, on the field. And you have police personnel, and it's not a good look for any school, university, or team. And the coaches have to get involved. And I thought it was a total disaster. And I'm glad that it was one major coach who addressed it that night, because it needed to be said.
Yeah. Well, AP, what happened with Michigan and Ohio State this weekend? I mean, that was kind of embarrassing for this game. That shouldn't happen, because like, we play this to compete. And even though it is hard, you end up losing sometimes. That's what happens. That's why it happens in a game. And for guys to get like that, and I'm just really happy that no one was seriously hurt in a way that could have jeopardized their future, whether that be on the football field or, it's really important for me now with little kids that I'm able to run around with them. And if something like that were to fire, where people wouldn't be able to do that would be really tough for us. So I'm glad Coach Sark is taking that stance, and I totally support that for sure.
Yeah, and the way it came from leadership was important, because I saw the Michigan player at the end. He thought it was acceptable, and he was calling the Ohio State team classless. And I'm thinking, so in your mind, it's acceptable to plant a logo, and you're a guest at someone's house, someone's stadium. So it has to be said from the top, because obviously players need to be taught. So, but anyway, we're going to move
Yeah.
on for that. We're going to move on to the most important thing, the SEC championship game. Well, what do you think Texas has to do to play against this Georgia team in order to be in Atlanta against all
Yeah.
those fans as well? Of course, Texas will have their fans there.
Yeah, I mean, and the kind of the idea of what Coach Sark is telling the team and what everybody knows is this is going to be a home game for Georgia. We're aware of that. We are asking the Longhorn Nation to travel well, but we know like this is what an hour away from Georgia's doorstep. So
Athens, right? Yeah.
yeah, like of course. And so Coach Sark talked a lot about, and the players this week, about being the villain, going into somebody's home and being able to in a classy way win a game. And I really think that Texas has got to do a couple of things. One of those is they've got to get Quinn Ewers comfortable and confident. If he's comfortable and confident, he makes great decisions with the ball. He takes care of. He is lights out in the intermediate, and he knows where to get the ball so that guys can do their thing in space in a one-on-one position. If he is confident and comfortable, and that means gotta keep those guys off of him. That front seven, those linebackers.
Right.
They flow. Defensive line is fast and big, and they've got to be able to make those calls and keep Quinn comfortable. If they do that, they're good. And then the defense, if they show up in the way that they have showed up throughout this year, I believe that they're going to be able to give Georgia their best shot, and hopefully they'll come out on top.
Yeah, I think they've played against better receivers overall than Georgia has on them. I mean, Georgia has good receivers, and they have some quality tight ends, I think, as well. But Georgia has struggled in the run game through some injuries, but I think if they could shut down the running, I think they could press coverage the receivers. That's the way I feel.
Yeah, and Georgia was really able to frazzle the University of Texas on the offensive side specifically. They were able to turn over the ball 3 times, and when they turned the ball over, they had short fields. Georgia was able to take advantage of those points in the short field, even though that Texas's defense has been lights out all season. You can't put that kind of pressure on your defense. ETN, it looks like he may not play. He was really the player of the game against Texas. Carson Beck did his job, but he did give the ball away. And Texas had four turnovers for that game. If Texas can get that same level of disruption inside of the Georgia offense and mitigate some of the rush and some of the really incredible talented players on the defensive side, I think Texas has got a shot. Texas has been incredibly physical, and I really love what they've done is they have rested on the run in Florida to close out the game. They did 15 in the fourth quarter. They had the ball 8 minutes and ran the ball 15 times for a score. I mean, that is imposing your will, and that's saying, hey, we're do this, we're going to run the ball, and you're not going to stop us. And if Texas has that gumption about them, and they can bring in that Alabama energy, because when they went to Alabama, those guys were focused. If they do that, and they don't let the moment overtake them, and in big moments like this, it can be easy to be swallowed by the enormity of what's going on. But Texas has shown in Arkansas, of course, with that hostile environment, and at Texas A&M, that they can play in hostile environments. And I think this is going to be another one. It's going to be a test for Texas, and hopefully they come out on top.
Yeah, I think they've been bolstered through the season at A&M, at Arkansas, at Michigan. So this is in Atlanta, so I think they're ready. Just a little under a minute, Will. I love the name of your kicker. What is it? Brett Auburn? Is that his name? Brett. Bert. I was gonna say Auburn beats Georgia at the end. That's the headline, right?
Yep. Auburn beats Georgia. He it's been difficult. There's a couple of times he's had some misses this season.
Yes.
Consistent, and I think this is as good a time as any to become a hero. One kick to put Texas ahead could change his life forever, and so I wish that for that young man for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking for that headline. I know when they played at Alabama, I was thinking that ever happened, that'd be quite the headline.
Yeah.
meets Alabama in Texas or something to that nature, or something like that. I don't know. But
Yeah.
hey, Will, it's been a real pleasure, and enjoy yourself in Atlanta and take in everything, as I know you will. And we really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you down the road at some point. Our guest this week, Will Matthews, the sideline analyst, reporter for the Texas Longhorn radio and TV networks, former fullback, Rose Bowl winner, Detroit Lions. I know you're happy about that. Hook 'em horns.
Welcome,
Okay,
Horn.
well, thank you. Thank you
Thank
very much, Will. And we'll be right back after these messages with AP as we see it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use groceries to go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. I'm AP Stedham with Dr. Jason Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Jason Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care. And we're back with AP as we see it. We want to thank our guest, Will Matthews, the Texas Longhorn sideline reporter for their TV and radio network. And we had a good time discussing that Georgia-Texas game. We're going to continue that discussion in this segment as well. But we want to point out that Ole Miss, the all-time passing leader, Jackson Dart, 10,213 yards he passed. Eli Manning, of course, that's a name in Ole Miss folklore. The Mannings, Arch Manning, the dad and his son Eli Manning, but Jackson Dart had that milestone, and he's been there at Ole Miss for 3 years, having transferred from USC. And Lane Kiffin, he's groomed him to be a very good quarterback on the collegiate level, and he's put them in position to play in one of the top bowl games, finishing with a 9-3 record this season. But we want to move on to the Georgia-Texas game. We continue that discussion. I would just say a few things about the Georgia-Texas game. One thing that I noticed in that first game, we mentioned the sacks. Quinn Ewers he has a light touch. He's not a physical player where he can escape the rush if somebody gets a hold of him. He's light-footed. He can dance away and elude the rush to make some passes, but he needs the protection. So they had their turnovers, as Will mentioned, 4 turnovers by Texas in that ball game. Georgia, they want to run the football. They haven't been successful this year through a number of things. The offensive line hasn't performed as well. The running backs have been injured. So he's had to rely on Carson Beck, and they've had a good season. 10-2, just the 2 losses, one to Alabama early and then to Ole Miss later on in the season. So Georgia and Texas, those are probably the 2 best teams overall, and it proved out. And because of this year, as we mentioned, everyone was chasing Ohio State and Georgia, and they caught them twice. So, but Georgia maintained their excellence and were able to win 10 games and get themselves in position to play in Atlanta, which is almost like a home game for them, being Athens is about an hour or so away. And then Texas all year long, and even the preseason, people thought that they would be one of the teams in the college football playoff and challenging for the SEC title. So Georgia and Texas, Texas has excellent receivers, good running backs. I like their offensive line. I like their defensive line because through the years, when Texas has not been good, the defensive line, you've been able to run all over them. I mean, literally big rushing yardage against that team through the years. But now that Steve Sarkisian, he's at the helm, he's built those offensive and defensive lines to be SEC ready in his very first season. He has a chance to reach that goal of winning the Southeastern Conference. And so I know that his fan base is excited, as they should be, because this SEC is very tough, as we know. Through the season, we've seen teams with 1 loss in the conference or one win in the conference. Excuse me, one win in the conference beat the top teams. Ole Miss was upset by Kentucky and Oxford. You saw Oklahoma run all over Alabama. One win in the conference at the time. So this Texas and Georgia matchup. Georgia is the away team, but I think Texas chose to wear the white. If I heard that correctly, so it should be a good ball game. And we know that if Quinn Ewers, for some reason, is not having a good day or has to come out for a few plays, Arch Manning is in the reserve role. Carson Beck, Georgia hasn't used their reserve quarterback very often, so they're relying on Carson Beck. I know it'll be a competitive ball game. The two coaches know each other very well. Steve Sarkisian, Kirby Smart, they were at Alabama through the years, and so they know about each other. So now it's really just a game of execution and production and making certain that you don't turn the ball over. Keep possession of the ball. Give your team the optimum amount of possessions so you can score, because that's the name of the game in college football, score. Defensively, both teams can be tough, but they're vulnerable just like any defense in college football nowadays. If you have a hot receiver, hot quarterback, they can have a big day, big moments, and they can put the game away early, as we've seen in some of the SEC games where you have the top teams playing each other. One team had a fast start, and the other team was coming from behind. They fell short. They came very close within one score. But I would say you want to start fast, as always, especially in this game when you're playing for the title of the Southeast Conference. Both teams will be in the college football playoff. And so there's no question that Georgia and Texas is just a question if one of them is going to be the champion, and they'll end up with the bye. Is that good for some teams to have a bye? I suspect. Is it good if you have a bye, but you're in a tougher bracket? I don't know. That's something only the coaches and the players can determine. But I know that having a bye does not mean that you have necessarily an easy path. You might have to play two teams that are tougher in your bracket, let's say. But Georgia and Texas should be a good matchup, and I know they'll have a huge audience watching that game. Texas is a state with a huge population, and Georgia is as well. And the rest of the country, they know that Texas and Georgia, they've seen that happen, and they want to see this rematch. So, and they could face each other for a third time, as we've discussed in the preseason. Imagine Texas and Georgia meeting again in a semifinal game, or maybe even earlier, or the championship game. Who knows? It could happen, but that's one of the complexities, one of the intricacies of this new 12-team college football playoff. We're going to take a look at those college football rankings. We have the 7 SEC teams in the current rankings. Texas, we have at number 2. We have Tennessee at number 7. We have Alabama at number 11. Ole Miss 13. South Carolina 14. We have Mizzou at 19. And Georgia's number 5 as well. I think I skipped over Georgia. So there's 7 teams from the SEC, 5 teams from the Big 10, 4 from the ACC, 4 from the Big 12, 2 from the Mountain West, 1 independent, Notre Dame, and 2 from the American Athletic Conference at the moment. So, but the key for this weekend with the college football rankings is the ACC championship in regards to the SEC. That has the most effect on if Alabama, who right now is sitting at number 11, will be part of this final 12-team playoff, because SMU, if they defeat Clemson, then automatically Alabama should be in the playoff. Now, if SMU is defeated by Clemson, that puts Clemson into the playoff. Are you going to drop SMU from 8 below or out of the 12-team playoff? Is that going to happen, or are they going to remain there? So a lot is riding on that game. And then you have also the Boise State versus UNLV. Boise State is number 10 right now, playing UNLV for the Mountain West title. So I think Alabama has a pretty good chance of being from the SEC, remaining in the 12-team college football playoff. But watch that SMU Clemson game. And these committees, they take snapshots every Tuesday. Remember that. Every Tuesday, they take a snapshot. They have a discussion. And we know from the committee that, for instance, Miami at number 12, Ole Miss 13, South Carolina 14, that they do not have any data points left, and they will not move up. As Ward Manuel, the University of Michigan Director of Athletics, stated, on the televised broadcast of the college football rankings. So, and then you also have a game to watch out is Arizona State versus Iowa State. That's the Big 12 championship as well. So there's some moving parts still to this college football playoff rankings that will be announced on Sunday. That will be the final poll to determine the 12 teams. But I just think that there's a better than average chance, over 50% chance, that Alabama will be a team from the SEC in the playoff, along with Texas and Georgia and Tennessee. Texas 11-1 at the moment. Georgia's at 10-2. Tennessee at 10-2. If Georgia has that third loss, I believe that's not going to prevent them from making the playoffs. It's not going to be held against them because of their strength of schedule and the fact that they made it to the SEC championship game, and because they're going to be rated as one of the higher leagues. You know, we understand that they rank the 5 conference champions. The first 4 get a bye. The 5th team will then be ranked accordingly within the 12. So, but I just think that Alabama's in a good position. Believe it or not, even with the bad loss to an Oklahoma team that had, I think, the 1 victory, and they lost by 3 touchdowns on the road. The Tennessee loss you can accept, I think, because Tennessee's a good football team, ranked number 7 in the country. The Vanderbilt loss, Vanderbilt's not ranked. They're 6-6. They're bowl eligible. Vanderbilt's one of the surprises, the best surprises in college football. Let's salute Clark Lee for what he did in having his team reach the bowl, beating Alabama number 1. And Vanderbilt beat a number 1 team for the first time in, I think, 60 tries. So that was exceptional for them. And they gave Texas all they wanted with a tight ball game, 3 points up in Nashville. They took Missouri to a couple overtimes, and beat Auburn on the road. So Vanderbilt had an outstanding season, which they can build upon in the future and attract better players as well. But the SEC is in good stead because they're going to have 3 teams at least minimum. Could have that 4th team, Alabama. And we know that I love the playoffs for the fact that some teams who have never competed against each other, this will happen. And it'll be at a home stadium for those teams. Number 5 through 8 will be hosting the first round, and then we'll proceed to the 6 bowl games for the next round of ball games. But anyway, we want to thank our guest, Will Matthews, University of Texas, television and radio sideline analyst for the Longhorn Network. And we had that great discussion about the flag planting, and hopefully that won't happen again. Coaches will address that for certain. So we'll see you next week with another edition of AP as we see it. Thank you. I'm AP Stedham. Stay at the Aloft Dallas downtown, a Marriott Boutique Hotel within walking distance to favorite attractions, JFK Museum, American Airlines Center, Reunion Tower, and Museum District. Work out there at 24-hour fitness center and follow up with a refreshing dip in their pool. Explore the city and return to the hotel's popular WXYZ bar to mingle over cocktails and savory bites. Call 214-761-0000 or visit www.aloftdallasdowntown.com. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.